then there will be about 40 to 45 minutes, a full demo on the project management system for NGOs as per Project DPRO standard. And then after this demo, we'll briefly discuss on what is the implementation methodology, our training and our support, and also a little bit in terms of the pricing, what we have developed for NGOs. And then we'll have a time of question and answer. You don't necessarily need to reserve the question till the evening, till the end. Whenever you feel like taking some clarifications, asking any questions, you can unmute. Since this program is being participated by colleagues from different countries, we would like you to just tell your name, which organization you are talking, you are representing, and then you can put forth your question, and then we'll try to answer them. Suppose if what you are talking about is already built into the agenda or as part of the demo, we'll communicate to you, and then we can appropriately address your queries. So thank you for honoring our invitation and then taking up your valuable time to participate in this. So let me begin with a brief introduction about ProVentures. We are a 15-year-old organization, and we call ourselves as a 360-degree project management service provider, or a full service provider in project management. So that means we build capacity development, competency development, and we consult our clients on various frameworks and methodologies, including not-for-profits, governments, and various industry segments. You all know that project management is something relevant to everyone, individual, an enterprise, a nation. And for all of us, project management is essential, and basically it is a domain neutral discipline and a competency. So we are able to work with multiple industry segments that you will see here. And in order to align ourselves with some of the leading methodologies, technology platforms, products, and solutions, we collaborate with global partners. So that includes Project Management Institute US as an authorized training partner. And also we work with PM for NGOs for the Project DPRO, Program DPRO, Theory of Change, etc. And then when it comes to technology solutions, we work with multiple partners. Few of them are presented here. With Microsoft, we work as a gold partner in PPM competency. And then critical change solution is a specialized area in project management. ProChain is one of the world leading partner. So we work with them, providing their solutions. And recently we have added Lean Station in terms of construction infrastructure management, application of lean practices and software solutions. So these are a glimpse of the clients that we have served in various capacities as a knowledge partner, technology partner, support in many areas over the last 15 years. So you will see organizations cutting across multiple domains, including government, NGOs, pharmaceutical, information technology, oil and gas, infrastructure, construction, manufacturing. So we served multiple clients across different countries as well. We work largely in India and also countries like Middle East, Sri Lanka, and few other nations. Now, let me move to the topic for the day, the project management solution for NGOs. So we created this acronym called PROMISE. Okay, that stands for Project Management Solution Information System for NGOs. So this particular portal we developed on Microsoft Online platform. So that means anyone, anywhere, anytime with just as a browser, internet browser access, they can work on this solution. And the second aspect is we researched carefully and fully aligned, okay, as a standard best practices of Project DPRO and also to a large extent Program DPRO standards from PM for NGOs. And it is available in a subscription model, cloud-based solution. And we have a Jumpstart package, which I will demonstrate, I will explain after the demo, okay, how this can be implemented and adapted rapidly within the organization. So we'll talk about that fast track implementation after the demo, once you understand the features of the portal. And the fast track implementation program also includes the training for the target users and support, we call it as a hypercare support for 3 months, which can be renewed and extended. That includes both functional and technical. So this is a kind of a 360-degree coverage we do for NGOs. So in a nutshell, the not-for-profits and NGOs, basically they don't really need to have a hardcore IT function or setup within the organization. Okay, they can continue to focus on their social development and services, but we'll be able to kind of equip them, provide them the needed support to work transparently and a total digital platform. So this is the very high level system architecture. So you will see it works on a Microsoft Project Online and Project for Web, that has the database and platform, and then few other applications that interface with it. So that includes Microsoft Power BI and Microsoft Project Professional as a desktop client and other collaborative tools and platforms interact. Now, how this solution is aligned with the standard? Okay, I've just captured probably the top 10 aspects of Project DPRO standard and then how we translated into the solution. So most of you who have gone through the training or providing the training, you know, okay, the Project DPRO life cycle. So it begins with identification and definition, project setup, then project planning, project implementation, and transition and closure. And MEAL as a framework and domain, it interacts with all the phases. So this project life cycle has been translated as a governance workflow in the solution. And then each phase is a phase in the workflow, project identification. Within that, we have created custom components that address problem tree, objectives tree, and then project log frame, logical framework, and a few registers like stakeholder register and many other components. And the second phase, project setup. So you will have a project charter and a simple governance model and a detailed risk analysis. And when it comes to the third phase, project planning, you'll be able to develop a comprehensive work breakdown structure, a detailed project schedule. You can maintain multiple templates. You can populate organizational resources of different types, material, people, and cost overheads, those kind of resources. You can populate, and you can create generic resources as well as something called named users. All those things, a very comprehensive resource center is part of that to enable multiple project planning with a pool of resources available from the organization. And then you'll be able to perform cost estimates, budgets, okay, baselines and all can be done. Lot more, I just named few critical features of the solution. So all these things will be leveraged both at the cloud level as well as at the client project professional will be used. And then when it comes to implementation, you all know these are the components that will be required: issue log, change register, and deliverables, document repository, document management system through version control, and other components. All those things are available, okay, within one portal. So when it comes to monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning framework, meal framework, so you can create a monitoring plan. You can define thresholds in the dashboard, and then you can create that red, amber, green kind of indicators. So you can have a RASI matrix or responsibility assignment matrix, and also lessons learned document, okay, which you can maintain it all through the project life cycle. And there are few donor specific or development project specific components have been created. So these things can further be added, okay, as we go alongside in the implementation journey. So right now, as per our pilot customer requirements, we have implemented a module to create donors, and then the donors will sometimes will be very specific to a specific project. So we can link donors to their own preferred projects, and then how much they are committing to each project. Okay, so those things can be done. And then when it comes to reports, so we can see what is the baseline expenses, what is the actual expenses, how much donations they received, what is the shortfall. So all those metrics and the performance can be looked at. And then there's a comprehensive dashboard and reporting system made available from all those 1 to 7 items. We can pick up dynamically the data. So it will be available, okay, in the form of reports, dashboards. You can see it in computer as well as it can be rendered into mobile phones. And then the last point, the project management principles. So you all know that there are 5 governing principles. Every project needs to be well governed, well integrated. It should be participatory, and we should have a comprehensive focus. Okay, right from the beginning of identification till the transition and closure, and we should be able to adapt it to the specific needs of the stakeholders. So in a way, all these 5 principles have been integrated into the overall solution. So this is to give a high level overview how the standard has been adapted into the information portal. You will see a lot of repetitions. I'm not going to get into these things. There are a few additional items are covered, like asset register, benefit register, all those things as a key best practices added into the system. Now I'll just explain a typical flow so that you can visualize the capability of the system. So you can create a project and then create a donor for the project, and then connect them both to the project. And you can trigger the workflow, the project life cycle. And you can complete the identification activities, set up, and then move into planning, create the project schedule, plan the resources, assign them, and then estimate and create a budget, and complete the plan, baseline it, and publish it in the cloud. And then you can start recording the progress time to time in terms of various progresses. Okay, and look at how the project is moving in terms of the defined metrics. And then as the project is being executed, you can collect the work progress, photographs, and various other communications can be captured and kept in the common portal. You can document issues, resolve them time to time, and manage changes. And as it moves into the transition and closure, you can close the project. If you would like to maintain the operational phase also into it, you can continue to maintain the project, okay, and then add additional activities, expansions, extensions, and other things. So these are the options that are available for the user to do. I just created one snapshot of workflow, okay, just to for you to understand how we can use this portal. Okay. With these few words of introduction, I will now pass it on to my colleague Prashant, who will take you through the portal, creating a new project, and then how it can be navigated. And as we switch over, if you have any questions, you can ask me, and I'll be happy to answer. So I'll now ask my colleague Prashant to take over, but you can ask questions. I'll be listening to you.
So let me start with a quick introduction of Microsoft Project Online, followed by a quick navigation of creating one project, and then we'll see how all the domains what Srinivas sir has explained us. So we will see all those domains, all those modules being built into the system. And then we will also see some business intelligence reports and other stuff. So as we already discussed earlier about this, this system is completely built on a cloud-based solution called Project Online, offered by Microsoft. And we took that and then we started building each of these modules aligned with PM for NGO standard to fit. So if you see this is a landing page, the home page of the solution. You see there is a navigation bar on the left side, which will show us different modules where we can go and access these modules with a single click of a button. So for now, predominantly this system is comprising of three things. One is the project center, which is a centralized place where all the projects in the organization are located and placed inside this, where we can also group them, we can organize and place these projects in the way we would like to see. So this is a project center which you are already seeing on the screen. So the second thing is the resource center, where the organization's resources, including the contractors, vendors, all these resources are brought in and centrally placed in a resource pool. So this is a place where the resources are kind of home. So from here, we will take the resources and assign them to multiple projects. And so that one advantage what we see over a standalone or an individual system is we can track have the traceability of the resources. We can track how the resources are being utilized across multiple projects, how on which projects they have been working on, are they available for other projects during that time. So all this kind of information and analysis, we'll be able to do it with having this centralized resource pool. Okay. Then the third part, which the other modules are either directly or indirectly related to the projects. through the project center and the other tasks that belongs to the project, or to the resources and the stakeholders. So all the other modules are related to some form of the project. So the third element, what I would like to emphasize on today is the Power BI. So this is a business intelligence package from Microsoft, which works in collaboration with the project online system, where we go and customize this um, reports and build dashboards based on your project data. So let's go and quickly have a look at these three important modules of the project online, or Promise for PM for NGOs. All right. Now I clicked on the project center, where the centralized place where all the projects can be seen. As you see, the projects are organized as per the portfolio and the program and the project. So this is a hierarchy which we have used. You can also group these projects in multiple ways. For example, you can go and click on the projects ribbon on the top, and you can just, from this drop down button, you can pick up project location, projects by location. So this will show the projects which are now organized as per the state, district, and the owner. So this is another way of looking at the project. So by default, when we go and open the system, this gives a bird's eye view of the overall portfolio performance over all the projects put together, how they are performing, either program wise or portfolio wise, how the performance is. It's a kind of a small, simple snippet which shows the performance of the projects. Now let's go and create one of the projects and understand how the projects are created and organized. And also, one important thing is every organization over a period of time, we develop our own methodology, our own governance framework. How do we deliver projects from starting till the end? So that governance, as Srinivasan sir also was explaining earlier, that is realized through a workflow where all the approvals and stage by stage how we deliver the project, how we expect the project managers to deliver the project is configured into. So these workflow based delivery, the methodologies, we group them and then place them under a feature in Project Online called EPTs, Enterprise Project Types, which can be accessed from this new button in the projects ribbon. So when I click on this new button, I can see there are multiple options that are coming up. If you see here, there is a ICU setup project, PM for NGOs workflow. So there are multiple options that are there. So now I'll choose PM for NGOs workflow project type. So when I click on that, basically what it does is it creates a new project. It asks me for the data to be keyed in. So for example, let's say Delta River is the project which I would like to create. So I'll just say, give the name, and owner by default, it will pick up from the user with whom you have logged in. So I'll click on finish, and now you can see the project is being created, as you see on my screen, and it shows that the moment the project is created, it will start asking you for another additional information. Okay. Now you can see the workflow is triggered, and you can see the governance model that is established through a workflow. So the Delta River project is created, and then you can click on all workflow stages to see how this project is to be delivered step by step, and what are the steps that the project manager needs to follow, and what are the approvals that the project manager needs to follow before going and delivering the project. Just a moment.
Sir, I have a doubt here.
Yes, please go.
So we just gave the name of the organization, that's it, and then we said enter. So this workflow is already automatically created, but it would be different for different organizations.
Correct, absolutely. So what
this workflow is already been fed into, or how is it like?
Yeah, so that is what we actually do. So we go and based on the organization's practices and your governance model, we configure these workflows and make it available for you. So if you have, let's say, different types of projects and different methodologies that you adapt for each type of the project, so that many types of projects will create. So each project will have its own set of workflow. So when you create a project based on that type, so it means that that is a methodology. For example, certain projects you would like to follow agile methodology, some a traditional or iterative approach. So based on what you would like to follow for that particular project, you need to pick up that particular EPT when you're creating the project itself. So that is what we configure and then keep it. So in this solution, this is the standard governance model, what PM for NGOs standard recommends. So that is what we have used. Okay, ma'am. All right. So if you expand the workflow stages, you can see what are the different phases and stages in which the project delivery happens. And in each stage, what are the actions that the project manager is supposed to complete? For example, as a part of collecting data, the project manager should work on a particular document called charter. So where he needs to go and fill in different details about the project. So he needs to link this project to a particular program, and also he needs to link it to a particular portfolio. Okay. So I'll go and say public health services, and it belongs to health portfolio, and then save it. So the status of the tool, what it's working on, how it's happening, and all you can see on the top right corner, it's still saving now. And then the moment it's completed, so you can go and submit the workflow to move to the next stage. So let's go and click on OK. Say warning and then say OK. The workflow is in progress. And now you can see the second stage from project charter, from collecting the data. Now it has moved into identify stakeholders. Similarly, in identity stakeholder register, there are certain elements that our project manager is supposed to work on, which I really don't want to go into the details. So for that reason, what I did is I created one more project and moved this workflow to the last stage so that we can see everything in one bird's eye view. So the Delta River project in this thing, whatever I have opened. So now I've put that in a closure stage, and step by step, the project manager is supposed to open the project, submit the project to the next stage. Any approvals that are triggered, the approvals will be intimated with emails where they'll approve it. And then once the project manager receives the approval, he will be able to move forward to the next stage and so on. It happens. This thing happens with the project manager. All right. Then the next important thing is the schedule part. So let me go and click on the schedule. So there is a page called schedule over here. So which will by default assign a standard template, schedule template to the project. So at the time of defining the EPT itself, we will go and design this template and attach that to an EPT. So whenever we go and create a project, but the standard schedule template will be attached to it. And taking this as a starting point, the project managers will go and build the other activities and make necessary changes to the duration estimates, the relationships. So all that professional related work, the project managers will do it. So using this project online system, one big advantage that we see is this comes along with a desktop version of Microsoft Project Professional, which is installed as a client on your desktop. And just give me a moment, I'll close it and reopen so that you'll be able to see that from the beginning. Yeah, so the Project Professional is included in the package. So Project Professional is a very powerful project management, planning, tracking, scheduling and tracking application. And it's very user-friendly and friendly to use. And most of the many project managers across the globe use this. Now, what I'll do is I'll go and open this Delta River project, what I'm speaking about, in Professional. So there are multiple ways in opening. So as I said, go to the schedule page, and from there you edit it in Professional is one way, or simply just go and click on the icon, the Gantt chart icon in the project center. So it will trigger the application Microsoft project, and it will connect to the project online system automatically in the background, and it will open the plan inside Microsoft project for us to use. All right, so this is the sample template that we have built. So all the activities, the work breakdown structure, activities, sequences, and also the team members are loaded. Now, if we would like to make any changes to the existing team members or something, you can just go to the resource sheet and go at the resource ribbon, click on add resources, build team from the enterprise, and you can add whoever the resources we would like to add or bring in now. So I will go and add them to the particular project. For example, I would like to add Samuel Yalla into the team. So I'll select the resource whom I would like to add, click on add, and click on OK. So now we can see Samuel Yalla is also available for us to go and assign them to the different project activities. So before we go in there, if you would like to go and really see whether this resource is available for us to use or not, so those things are also possible. So you can just go and click on graphs here. So it will take us back to project online. Just a moment. Yeah, so take us back to project online, and then you can do different analysis saying that, okay, this resource is available at what. Okay. Yeah, one second. Just a moment. Yeah, so this takes us to the project online again, and as of now, Samuel is not assigned to any of the projects in this particular tenant, so it should not showing any capacity availability. But this is a place where you can check the resource assignment, resource requests, and all stuff. And once we confirm that that particular resource is available to work for us during that particular time, then I'll go and click on OK and come back to my Gantt chart, and then assign the resources to different activities. For example, I would like to go and assign Samuel to this particular activity. Click on Sam and then assign. Now Samuel is assigned. The moment you assign this resource and then publish the project back into the system will automatically trigger an email to the particular resource saying that you are supposed to work on so and so task for during this time. So that is what the system will do. The resource will get an email, and once the resource completes working on that particular task, he will send back the update back to the project manager, where the project manager can go and check whether that update is okay in line with the project or not. And once he approves, the project plan will get automatically updated. So these are all the different advantages of using a centralized resource pool and the project online system, where a lot of picking up a phone call, picking up a phone and dialing the number and following it up with the resources who are at the site can be avoided. So let me go and go back to project online. Yes. So, and then I will quickly show you the other modules that we have built. So now you can see there's one module called donor details, which helps us to create the list of donors, keep a track of the donations that we have received for each project. So whenever we go and create a new donor list, it will ask, so for which project you would like to donate it. So I will go and say Delta River is the project to which I would like to donate. So I will go and create the donor for Delta River project, and I will give the name, email ID, and other details, and say that this is the amount of donation that we have received on so and so date. I'll say yes, and automatically the donor list will get updated with the new donor that we have created in the system. So this donor list is again used in Power BI when we are doing the analysis, how many funds have we received for each project and how much has been spent, how much is remaining. So this kind of analysis and all can be done in the Power BI reports that we have generated here, which we will see in a later point. Then we have our other two modules, which are again aligned to the PM4NGOs standard, the problem tree and the solution tree or the objective tree. So you can see what are the different problems and the description of the problems, what are the causes and effects. So whenever we create a problem, a new problem, we will have to link it with a specific project. And for that particular project, these are the problems that are identified. So once the problems are identified, we will also go and define the solutions and define the objectives in order to address the problems. So for each of this particular project, what are the objectives that we have set? And what are the means, output and end. So all these different things we go and create it and place it over there in inside the system. All right. So then I'll move into the next module, that is the logical framework. And this helps us to define the different logical framework levels and what are the action items that we need to do. What are the description, indicators, means of verification, assumptions that we have made. Is it a goal or is it an outcome, output, or activities? So this is a standard module again that we have compiled it, but this can be customized as per the organization's requirement. So similarly, we also have asset register where all the assets related to a particular project will be documented and kept track of. So once we started utilizing it, we can also keep a count of the assets that are utilized so that we can go and see whatever we have built and how many have been utilized, how many are still available for us to work with. So this is another module that we have built in. Then we have a monitoring plan where we go and see what is the monitoring plan, which is again linked back to the logical framework. So select the project to which we would like to build a plan for, then the goal, the information needed, the sources of data, and what is the frequency in which you would like to collect the updates in order to monitor the project, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, and who collects the data. So it's a user picker where you can go and just type a particular name and that resource will be picked up automatically. And the target users, again, the user picker where we go and pick up the users. So I'm not saving that as well. And then I'll move into the change request. So this change request is again built with a feature called a list workflow where the approvals can be configured. So for every change request that user submits, there can be an approver who is who can be configured, who will receive an email indication saying that, okay, so-and-so person has submitted a change for so-and-so project. So once that approver is convinced that this change is worth implementing it, then he gives an approval for that or a rejection for it based on which the status of the change. So as of now, this is open. And when I go and say I will edit this, if our workflow is running with the approval loop created, so automatically the status will be controlled by the workflow. Is it closed or approved or on hold or rejected? So we will update the status based on the loop that we have created. So then we will go with the benefit register. So this benefit register creates the benefits for each project. So these are all the benefit log that we have developed. So these are some sample benefits that we already created. But when you go and create a new benefit, it captures all the information about the benefit linked back to a project. So Delta River project and the benefit ID, if we are having a unique ID or description for the benefits, then linking it back to the business objectives, who's the owner of the benefit, who are the beneficiaries, what is the status, is it active and current benefit, which is under realization or it's already realized in the past, or is it going to start in the future? So when did the realization start, expected start date, and when did the benefit realization start? Is it tangible benefit, intangible benefit, financial, non-financial, and how long the benefit is going to sustain, and what is the expected quantum in terms of some metrics that we use to measure the. So these details we capture it and model it in Power BI again, based once we start realizing the benefit back into it. Then I'll go into the next part before I move into the reports. That is something what we call as a project site. So this project site is again a project online centric feature where every project, when you create and define a project, it creates a site along with it. So you can create, you see the site over there. And when I click on it, it shows, it takes me to a sub-site inside the project online site where I can see this project related information, the project home, project schedule, status, configuration guidance, and all whatever we need, we can configure this and place it in the home site. Similarly, now there are some important modules that we need to understand in the project site as well. For example, the documents. So when I click on documents, this is a document management system that is inbuilt into the project online system where you can create a folder or present or upload any document that is over there. And you can upload the existing documents already that are there, folder or any documents. And all these documents are version controlled. Every time you open a document, check out and check in back, this will basically create a new version. So these versions are also can be controlled in a way that whether you want to create a major version or a minor version and what are the changes. So either you can roll back to the previous version or delete the previous version to save space. So all these are possible. Then the risks module, which defines the new risks. So these are very specific to each project and these are isolated from other projects. So unlike the other modules, what you have seen earlier, where you are going and picking up a project and assigning some information to a particular project. Here, we open the project and then give the information. So it's very project specific and it's limited only to the project. So people who have access to the project only will be able to access this site and nobody else can do that. So different risks and a risk register, which you are seeing on the screen along with different customizations that are done. So when I go and create a new risk, you can see multiple attributes. For example, the probability impact in terms of the cost, what is the due date for the risk before which we need to take an action, what is the mitigation plan, contingency plan, trigger description, so etc. Whatever we want or whatever our practice is in terms of risk management in our organization, we can customize this. Then we have an issue log where we keep a track of all the issues, assign responsibility to the owners, and these people are responsible for acting on the issues and resolving the issues. All right, then we have deliverables. What are the key deliverables that the projects are creating? And these deliverables also can be used to create soft dependencies or interdependencies between multiple projects, which is slightly a complex feature, which initially we would not suggest us to use that, but little later down the lane, once we get matured in terms of using it and adopting it for all our projects, we can start using this. The stakeholder register, yeah, so all the list of stakeholders that are identified along with their stake in the project and the assessment in terms of power, influence, interest, impact that they carry on a scale of 1 to 10. It calculates the score for each stakeholder and respectively places them in their particular grade. So what is the strategy we would like to follow with them? And what are the areas of engagement? And if any specific action is needed to be taken for that particular group of stakeholder or category of stakeholders, this can be marked over here. So all the stakeholders whom we are creating here, we generally go and classify them into these particular categories. So are the sponsors, managers, president, vendors, any statutory approvals bodies, or any government regulatory bodies. So all these categories for the stakeholders are created, and based on these categories, what needs to be done as a part of our engagement with each stakeholder is generally created and managed. We can also show that in the part of a Power BI report. So then we have the governance structure where you go and create the composition, which user's perspective in terms of governance, what is the perspective? Is it an executive perspective, senior user or a senior supplier perspective? And what is the name of the person who is supposed to take care of it? What is take the responsibility, the role and the responsibility? What is the size of the steering committee? So this is the governance structure, which again is a standard definition of governance structure as per the standard that we have picked up, which can be customized further. Then I'll move into the RACI, the responsibility assignment matrix, where we can go and define the responsibility for each of the activity, or we can limit it at a deliverable level. And maybe key activities or milestone level, we can also define the responsibilities where the users can be picked up from the drop-down list, who is responsible, accountable, who should be consulted, and who should be informed. So you can pick it up and then build a RACI chart for each project. As I said, we are not picking up the project name anywhere because this is done as part of project site. Whoever is responsible for that particular deliverable in the project. So those guys can be created or included in the RACI. Then I'll move to the last module that we have, the lessons learned register. Once we have completed the project, we do this exercise, consolidate all the lessons learned that we have collected across the project throughout the execution and monitoring and control. So you can see the information, what went well, what went wrong, why did it go wrong, what could have gone better, and what can we learn from this. So you consolidatedly, you put everything into one particular registry repository, and then roll it up to the organization level, so that for each project, what are the lessons learned that we have, and how can we improvise our processes going forward for the future projects based on the existing lessons learned. So this kind of customizations with respect to the project online system that we have brought in alignment with PM4NGO standard. Now, moving forward, if I go into the reports. So this is the interface that I'm speaking about, the Power BI reports. This is a package which works in conjunction with Project Online system. It's by default available from the Project Online suite. Now, you see there's a portfolio dashboard which we have built based on the data that we have picked up from the Project Online system, what we have just seen. So these reports are live, these reports are interactive, and whenever the new data has been built or populated in the Project Online, this report gets refreshed automatically based on certain time intervals that we have kept. Now you can go and filter it out. These are, as I said, these are interactive reports where you can go and customize these dashboards as for what information you would like to see. Now I would like to see the project owner, who is Istiaq Ali, let's say. So Istiaq Ali holds one project, and that is Delta River, and this is the performance of the project. Now I would like to see all the projects performance together. You can see here. So of PM4NGO's workflow type project. So that particular type of projects, which we have about 7 or 8 in the list, and 7 projects total. and total cost, total variance, total work variance, and active risk. So all these information automatically gets populated. So this gives a bird's eye view of how our portfolio is performing, and more details when you go into the next report, which is the project status. So in this project status, you go and pick up a particular project, and you can see the graphs and the dashboards that will get updated automatically based on the project that we have selected. Um, any project that you choose, the randomly the graphs will get updated as you see here. Now, yeah, so these are the milestones that are completed in the last 30 days, and these are the milestones that are planned for the next 30 days. So what is the overall cost? What is the work? Um, what is the cost variance, work variance, percentage complete? So all these things are uh, customized. And if you have a practice of seeing anything else or any data other than what we are providing in a standard report back, so that always we can customize it and make it available for you. So let me go to the risks. So this is a risk register, and the risks that are categorized by the owner and category. The same applies to the issues, and the issue log along the same as the risk register. Then the RACI chat, so which we have built in Project Online, the same thing has been created here and be shown or can be seen here. All right, so you can customize, or you can go and apply these filters for each of the project, and then you can see how the data is getting populated for each project. So this is another thing. Now the stakeholder register. This is the register, the list of all the stakeholders for the projects. And on the right side, you can see the power, influence, interest, impact matrix. On x-axis, you have the interest and impact. On y-axis, you have the power and influence. Now, a multiplication factor is indicated with the size of the stakeholders, and also the color has its own code. Each type, what are the role the stakeholder is playing. The auditors are blue in color, contractors are dark blue, data scientists are orange. So like that, we can customize this power influence stakeholder matrix, what we generally call. Then we have the benefit register and the asset register in one report, which basically shows the list of all the benefits, and also along with that, the assets as well. So each of this table can further be customized based on the projects that we would like to. So if we enable the filters for a particular table, we can go click on the filters and apply filters for that particular table as well. Yeah. Then we have the problem tree, which we have built over there in a fishbone diagram representation, which you can see what are the causes and what are the problems. And similarly, we also have the solution tree, which is again in the same way, the tabular form on the top and the pictorial representation of all the problems and solutions at the bottom. Then coming to the monitoring plan. So again, the plan that we have built over there in Project Online, along with the logical framework. So everything is brought in and kept in one place. So also, yeah. Okay. So also you can see there is one particular live report which we have recently built for one of the NGOs here, where we are setting up some ICU beds as part of Nirman organization. So there, the specific requirement is the number of ICUs or the work in progress as per the geographical location. So these are the states in which we are working, and when you place your mouse on that, it gives a pop-up saying that how many of these equipments are already placed in the ICUs of that particular state. And when you go and right click and then click on show as table, you can go and see the details of it. Then you can drill down into each of the state and then see each area, each district where we are standing and how we are standing. So all these are completely customizable, and standard report pack. Anyway, as you, whatever you have seen now, the standard report pack, we will get it as a part of the solution. Anything else beyond this specific to our organization needs, we will go and customize it and give it.
That whole thing.
No.
Yeah, any questions before I hand it over to someone? If there are no questions, then sir, over to you.
So I just wanted to understand, do we also are able to capture the beneficiary details here? Hello?
Yeah.
Sir, I wanted to understand, do we also capture who were the beneficiaries or the beneficiaries details here?
The benefit register is there, but that can be added, Vani. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, I'm able to hear you because a lot of
yeah,
time
yeah.
I hear
Correct.
we want
See-
to understand how did the beneficiary benefit out of it or do some, interviews with them and things like that.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
in that context, how many beneficiaries, their contact details, like the donor register or beneficiary register is what I was thinking.
Yeah. So stakeholder register will include beneficiaries, and also the benefit register as a generic register is built. So we can add as part of that how many beneficiaries, what is the quantum of benefit, etc. That can be expanded.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Right. Transition.
Sir, Ramna here.
Yes, Ramana.
You have talked about the principles in your one of the slides.
Yeah.
So, one is the well-governed,
Yes.
integrated, participative, adaptive.
Yeah.
Then how do you ensure that it is well-governed? Are any metrics built over into the solution part? And how do you say
Okay.
that it is well-governed or integrated? I can understand because we are trying to integrate the entire components. Participative is again, you are trying to involve all the stakeholders.
Correct.
But how about the adaptiveness? Sometimes this suddenly a strategy is changed. Then how do you do that adaptive part? Do you create any other revised version saying that because of these adaptive things, these things are getting changed or something? And how do you track them?
Yeah, see, adaptive, when we talk about it, how do you structure the life cycle of the project in the form of iterative model or pilot and expensive model? So basically we can create multiple templates, number one, okay? And number two, for example, when it comes to implementation, suppose a project is a very complex project, it follows a different life cycle. Suppose if a project is a very a simple one, okay, accordingly those Kanban boards and other things are by default available. So that can be made enabled. So just like a small spreadsheet, they can track the project, how it is progress. So we can basically, depending upon complexity of the project, they can choose an appropriate methodology and then follow it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
And coming to the governance part, well-governed, how do you measure that? And
yeah. So governance, number one, the whole ecosystem is to create a transparent accountability in NGO project. Yes. So you'll see right from the beginning, everything is, okay, am I accountable for every rupee that I receive? Okay, how each people, how asset is being used. So everything is transparent, number one. Number two, what is the governance steering committee composition? Is it donor based or user based? What is the composition? Who are the people? What are their roles, responsibilities? Second part. Third part, we build that RACI matrix. Okay, at the next operational level, who are the people? What are their responsibilities, deliverables? So that is being done. And the fourth thing, the project center itself can have a dashboard at a glimpse of it, how different projects are running. Based on that, they can decide, okay, how to go about the future funding
Yeah.
and other things.
That shows the
Okay, so-
performance, the KPIs of the different projects.
Correct, correct.
And one more question, sir. Here, the governing body will be there. And
Yes,
they'll be meeting often to review the various milestones, various deliverables. So is there any way to capture that MOM and put it in the system there?
yeah,
Minutes of
right now,
and
there is
action.
a document management system,
Yes.
okay, which can capture, you can create a folder structure, keep those
Yes.
things, okay? In case, for example, like Prashant was showing multiple modules. Suppose somebody wants to know the key management review meeting needs to be captured, okay, when the meeting was held, what was the points discussed, okay, it's a matter of another small additional component that can be actually added, Ramana.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So quickly, I will take you through how we intend to implement this. Okay. So now, as you have seen, almost I would say 60 to 80% fit. We translated the international standard into a fully digitized model. Okay. So this standard implementation as a whole will be available to every customer who would like to go for it. Okay, number one. In addition to that, okay, we provide initial set of licenses, okay, in terms of one administrative level, one PMO or rather project manager level, and one senior management level to see these dashboards and other things. That is already built into the initial package, plus 3 months of support, okay, 20 hours per month as a hypercare support as needed, okay, is actually built into it. Then we provide a kind of, I would say, a full-fledged training on the conceptual aspects and the tooling aspects, okay, to the tune of about 12 hours of training for the initial batch of people who will be covered part of the implementation. So we don't spend too much of time in collecting requirements, all those things, because the international standard has been put in place. So we just deploy this solution with certain organization centric requirements. So this is how the implementation schedule goes. Okay, 1 week to agree, enter into an agreement, collecting the customer data, sign off, and then receiving the advance payment so that we begin the work. And then second and third week, all that you have seen, okay, will be configured. Since these things have been a kind of a templated, practiced multiple times, our team will configure the solution. Parallelly, the second week or the third week from the beginning, okay, we'll identify the core users of this one and we provide them the training, and along with them, we prepare the first template and publish one master plan, one plan, okay, strategically important plan. You publish it, update it, and then the fourth week, we will hand it over to an identified PMO coordinator, and then our support starts. Okay, so it is our commitment. We will complete the whole project in 4 weeks time, and that we count it as a first release. Okay, any other customer centric requirements, reports, modules, we actually understand, collect it during the first release, and then go and do according to the customer centric requirement, which will be treated as addition, okay, which will not be part of the initial deployment package. We will estimate it, agree on how much work is involved, how much it would cost, etc. Okay, but our belief is, okay, this solution itself should be sufficient for any kind of small or medium size NGOs. Okay, because it is fully aligned with the international standard. However, 3 months support is also built into the package so that during that time, okay, any small tuning and additional knowledge support or other things, technical support, we will provide it as part of the original package. Okay. So what are the additional services that we can provide? Okay, now we have just started with a starter pack of 3 users. Suppose if the organization wants additional users, then for different types of users, there are different types of pricing options available from Microsoft. We will facilitate so that you can keep adding additional users, additional projects, and then you can scale it up. Additional features required, we'll collect the requirements, build it. Suppose an organization says, hey, I don't have a qualified experienced project coordinators. Would you mind manage our projects? Tell me, okay, what will be that? So we can directly, since everything is cloud-based, we can interact with your team and then manage, update, prepare new plans. All those things can be done, okay, for the specific customer. In fact, we have been doing this for some of the customers from the industrial sector. We can also extend it to NGOs. Okay. Now, the last but not the least, what is the basic pricing model? Okay, this is actually tailored only for not for profit organizations. This is not for any commercial corporations or enterprises. So since a lot of people here are NGOs, we are displaying this basic pricing model. The license, okay, there are different plans available, plan 5, plan 3 and plan 1, and one Power BI, what you have seen as a dashboard and reports. So each one count for 1 year, the license cost will be $1,200 US. Okay, the implementation fee, the 4 weeks what I have shown, okay, agreeing to the collecting the organizational details, configuring the solution, and then build a project template and then hand over. Okay, the whole implementation configuration, $2,150 US, and then training, okay, 12 man hours, 1 batch limited to 5 people, okay, is $750, and 3 months of hypercare support amounted to 60 man hours, okay, for 3 months, 3 into 20 hours per month, which is $900. Overall, okay, it has been packaged as $4,900. So with this, actually an organization can go live on this portal. You can work on the value proposition, okay, how it will bring visibility to statutory bodies, your donors, your stakeholders, your beneficiaries, okay, how you can basically scale up your operations, okay, beyond what your founder CEO can do that. Okay, all those things, this will enable you. Okay, we have implemented it with a couple of organizations, and if you want, I think one of our pilot customer, I requested him to be part of today's demo. Maybe I will ask him to speak to you. Is there? Yeah. Any questions as we ask him to share his experience in terms of implementation? Ratnam, are you there, Ratnam?
So how many users can be there for this particular plan, sir?
If you look at it, one plan 5, one plan 3 could be the sponsor come project manager or 2 project managers. Okay, they can have that. And then one plan 1, which is primarily can be enabled for the senior management to view all the projects running in the company. The same person can hold a Power BI license, which basically gives the reports and dashboards. Okay, now all those things we gave it as a part of the initial package, but the moment organization feels I would like to cover more the reports and dashboard users and senior management or project managers, okay, we can do that. But when it comes to the project managers, the 2 users, I believe, is good enough. They can handle as much as 8 to 10 projects. Okay, that's what we also have implemented it. with a couple of our customers, NGO customers. Okay, I will pass it on to Rathinam. Rathinam, can you take about maybe 5 minutes of your time, introduce about your organization and how you embarked on this journey and what are the early benefits that you gained? You can share your experience, Rathinam. Are you there, Rathinam?
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, Rathinam. Yeah.
Am I audible? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yes, you are audible.
So good evening. Yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So I'm Ratnam. I'm the head of technology and ISD at LV Prasad Eye Institute, Hyderabad, India. LV Prasad Eye Institute is one of the premier eye institute in this part of the world. And this was established about 34 years ago. LV Prasad Eye Institute caters to something like 7,000 to 8,000 patients a day across its various network. It has a network of a pyramid structure of single-man clinic and a secondary center which caters to about 100 patients a day, and a tertiary center which caters to about 1,000 patients a day, and a center of excellence which caters to about 2,000 patients a day, and correspondingly the number of surgeries as well. So LV Prasad Eye Institute have 10 functional arms. 3 of them every doctor wants to come in, which is education, clinical service and research, because this is a not-for-profit organization managed by a trust board of members. The next 3 functional arms, LV Prasad Eye Institute is a pioneer in these 3, which is iBank. This does 100,000 cornea transplantation has been completed recently, which is highest in the world, using the donor corneas from the deceased persons. Number 2 is rehabilitation. This is the first hospital in the world which integrated rehabilitation as part of eye care, and this is still a leading. And number 3 is the rural and community eye health, which through the network of 200 plus single man clinic and 25 plus secondary center clinic, we have reached the nook and corners of 3 states in India. And that has been recognized as the pyramid model developed by LV Prasad Eye Institute has been recognized as a recommended model for delivering a proper eye care in any part of the world, especially in the developing nation, by WHO. We are also a WHO collaborative center for more than 10 years now. I said 10 functional arms, 3 I told about doctors, which is education, clinical service and research, and 3 we do like nobody else in the world, which is eye banking, rehabilitation, and rural and community eye health. 3 more we do, which will help other organizations both in India and outside India, which is advocacy and planning. We work with government to create a policy. The second one is capacity building. If somebody wants to develop their eye care, we help them how to build it, how to enhance it, or how to build it from the scratch. That is greenfield projects as well. And the third one is production. We create a lot of small things that is required by many of the hospitals, especially the small hospitals and eye bank, and that we provide it at a production cost, and that is used by many other hospitals. So totally about 9 functional arms. The 10th arm is innovation. That actually propels all the 9 arms into the next level. Under the innovation, center of innovation, which was inaugurated by Bharat Ratna APJ Abdul Kalam, is also one of the beloved president of India. He's a technology man himself, so he was quite enthusiastic and supportive at that time. So under this one, we have developed several innovative projects, primarily products of hardware or software or a combination thereof, and for which we were a bit struggling to find out a proper management method by which we could manage all these projects. These projects intended to have both community impact as well as a commercial impact for the organization. So it all depends on how qualified the individual project lead is, or how qualified the project coordinator is, or the clinical lead is, kind of issues. So we were looking at something which is more standardized, and ProVentures, under the leadership of Mr. P. Srinivasan, is quite known to us, our organization, as one of the market senior, well known in the market of project management. And so they have suggested the PMD Pro as project management for NGOs. And so the detail was quite attractive and compelling for us to take up, because we work on the community impact as well as commercial impact. The community impact is not so easily measurable in other models, whereas in this particular framework, it is well addressed. And we have taken up that, and with this ProMIS solution, what he had given, we have implemented the projects, and we are onboarding further projects into it. We first took it up for 3 projects, and a total of 18 plus projects, and we are onboarding the other projects as well. So some of the simplest advantages what we find it is that first and foremost is it is absolutely easy to communicate with all stakeholders, because the project link is shared and everybody can look at it as what is where is. So there is absolutely no problem in terms of communicating with the stakeholders. And number 2 is the work breakdown structure and other activity details. It is the first time we have to sit with the lead and then break down. Once it is done, then it is well monitored without much of further effort. Number 3 is, personally, I review every projects on a weekly and some on fortnightly basis and monitor them as a head of Center for Innovation. So in that aspect, we find that the monitoring along with the detailed activities that is provided and the detailed timelines, what is captured and what is the delay and what is the lead or what is the lag, all that we could capture it and then recognize it and take appropriate action which is suitable to make the project further successful. And the next one is the complete picture is not necessary. So even if some of the projects where we just took it up on a rolling wave method, even that is accommodated well within the structure. So we could take it up and then use it that as well. So it is not necessarily that like a waterfall, you know what is the project to be done and do everything. It can also be rolling wave kind of a thing. So in all these aspects, it has made it very, very convenient and highly communicative, and made the effort of managing the project much more realistic and simple. I'll be happy if you ask if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ratna. I think it's very apt. Okay, so maybe I'll just open it now for any questions from the audience in terms of the portal, in terms of implementation, or in terms of the user experience. Yeah, so feel free to interact. I just open it for you can unmute and then ask the questions we are here to answer. No questions from anyone?
Sir, I have a few questions.
Yeah, yes, Mani.
When we are talking about the schedule for the individual employees, that means whoever is going to work on this particular project, they will be getting the information, is what you said, sir.
Yeah, they see you can basically assign activities to anyone, including, for example, partners or suppliers. Okay.
Okay.
But for them to get a trigger, okay, so and so activity is assigned to you, they have to be a licensed user. Okay. So in a non-NGO context, it is very difficult to manage because the adoption knowledge level by everyone who participates, even at the ground level, may be difficult. But you can bring a clarity who does what, okay, by populating the stakeholders and resources, assigning to activities. But it can be centrally monitored by other means. But at the end of the day, it is up to the organization. If they want let's say the field coordinator also to access the system, update the progress, it can be done. But they need to take those team member level licenses and then the plan to be done. Yeah. But if they want to just populate the resources, assign it, have a clear plan, okay, who does what, when, all those things, even without, with just one license, whatever I mentioned, they can, you can model the plan, simulate it, and then apply it, update it, all those things can be done.
So in the sense, if at all, I'm talking about the team members who are actually working on the project. If there is any change, if there is any modification, so will they get a trigger in the email, or they will have it in the calendar or something like that?
It is possible, provided they all should get licenses.
Licenses. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Because when I was working in DNV, we used to have that system where there is any change in the schedule, it automatically used to go to the employees. Now I get it. Okay. So the approval of employees by the functional manager and project manager. So that is also being part of this, or it will be manually done or informed, and then the project manager will be doing the updates.
See, currently the solution is a kind of open solution. Okay, we haven't built that kind of approval loops because that needs actually to be designed. How many levels of approval, who will report to whom. So all those things need to be modeled specific to organization. But the standard solution, okay, is something open. Okay, the team member can be assigned, he will get the trigger, he submits, and then it will come to manager. He can accept it. That's how it is as a standard solution.
Okay. So I think even change access again, if at all I want to do some changes as a team member, or I want to report there needs to be a change. So again, that also is, we'll have to inform to the project manager himself.
Correct.
And then he will do it.
Yeah.
And the second point I had was when we are, so the vendors, do we have a separate list as a stakeholder?
Yes, you can identify the vendor, categorize it under specific category.
Yeah.
Okay. But since it is a cloud-based system, suppose if the partner working closely with the organization, so they can also be looped into this system so that they will have access, they can update. That is also possible.
Okay. And the last question I had was when we were preparing the WBS. So for understanding what is the budget or those things. So we have to calculate for each individual employee what is the cost. So it is not their salary base. It is again whatever we charge to the donor. So that would be separate, and that we will be by default classifying the employees with different categories, and then we put that rates out automatically. It will calculate.
You can do that. Yes, those things are possible. Okay, you can assign depending upon their contribution and skill set and other things. You can assign a cost rate so that at the project level, you can actually compute, okay, what kind of cost being incurred, internal, external cost. Okay, accordingly, you can actually justify the project in terms of the value proposition to the donor as well as the beneficiaries.
So because this, so the system of making a proposal is going to be a part of it, or it will be again outside?
Yeah, very good question. Basically, the proposal or concept paper, it varies from donor to donor. The essential ingredients, okay, for example, need analysis, problem analysis, objective tree, log frame, the project delivery schedule, risks, issues are all available. Okay, all that we need is compile these things in the form of a donor specific proposal. Okay, maybe it's just a matter of copy paste of various information, bundle the proposal. In case if somebody is interested, I want a proposal to be bundled according to this sections and templates. Even that can be taken up as a customization as part of release 2, release 3, etc. Have I answered?
Sorry. So what I'm saying is the content is already available and the reports
Yes.
are available. We'll just have to take the template of the donor proposal and then put it accordingly into the respective places.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that is all I have for now. Also, one more thing comes to my mind is since we have the log frame already there, can the impact analysis also be done? Because the outcome and the output and the outcomes are already there.
Yes. Yeah.
So in case we are running this project for 3 years and beyond, then that is when we will be able to see the outcome. So depending on the license and all those things, but then the inputs, I was looking at the input side.
Yeah, yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Okay, I think
only thing is, for example, things like a project is completed, it is in a benefit realization mode. I would like to measure every 6 months, okay, the accrual of the benefits and then communicate. Okay, so we need to, the current benefit register need to be slightly extended in the form of time-based realization of benefits, which actually can be done very easily as per the requirement of the NGO.
Okay. Yeah. Then customization can be done.
Can be done, yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that is all for now, sir. I was more focused on the impact analysis since we have this one framework called MVOA. So I was thinking from that perspective, the inputs are already captured. Maybe we can look into the reports part later. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Other guests?
Sir, Ramana here, sir.
Yes, Ramana. Yeah.
I have a question to Mr. Ratnam.
Okay.
And he said that initially they have started off with uploading 3 schedules, three projects onto the portal, and now they have scaled up to 18. That's what I understand from this conversation. So, in terms of the updates to the various tasks, so how did they ensure that they were getting regular updates on the tasks? Was it done centrally, or it was left to the individual team members to update the progress? And what was the licensing structure, number of users? They have scaled up as they grow from 3 projects to 18 projects on the portal.
Ratnam, would you like to take the question? We're not able to hear that. Yeah, yes, Ratnam, go ahead. Go ahead. You muted it again, Ratnam. Yeah, please speak.
To understand and answer one by one for that. Members, what we are doing is every there's one key person per team, they will update.
Okay.
And the senior sponsor could possibly put a notes or something, but nobody would update. The update is left with only one person within the team. So each team would have one person to update. Am I answering the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the team licensing per se, I think there are different things. One is the by and large, most of the team members designated to have the license would be only having viewing access. Because of the administrative side, we modify that and see that the permission is given only for viewing, not really for editing that all the time. So in that way, we manage the particular thing. And ProVentures were quite capable to advise us which kind of team member to go for which kind of license and all that. So we can take advice from them and go ahead. Hope I answered all the questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, any other question? I think we have guests. Santosh, thanks for joining. And yeah, a few others.
Thank you.
See. Yes.
Thank you. I'm just listening, trying to understand, and I'll definitely get back, and we will see how we can use this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So much. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I think we don't want to take much of your time. Is there a link? Yeah, we would like to hear from you, those who could not speak also. Please leave your feedback about the solution and any other feedback that we can improve upon this webinar as well as the solution. Okay, we want you to hear from you more so that we can do better in terms of serving you. Can you tell them how to use it?
Yes, so we have posted the link in the chat. So either you can click on the link directly, or you just open your mobile phone camera and scan this QR code. It will open a form in the open a link in the pop-up. So click on the link to access the feedback form in your mobile browser. So it's simple, few 3 pages questions, so not much. So it just takes about 2-3 minutes to do that.
Yeah, as you keep filling and submitting your feedback, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. And in case any of you want to have an exclusive demo with your own project being published and then how it can be modeled in the system, you can write to us and then we can arrange it. And I'm sure most of you who participate here know about PM for NGOs, Project DPRO certifications. They're very cost effective in terms of training and certification fee. And it really helps to streamline many of your projects and programs into a standardized, well-governed manner. So if you have any such requirements also, feel free. We typically arrange every alternate month one training on this particular standard. Okay, we'll be happy to have you as part of our training. So any other thing related to project, program, portfolio management, strategy, okay, you can call us anytime or drop an email. And otherwise, thank you very much for joining us, sparing your precious time. And please leave your feedback. And if it is done, you are free to log on. Okay, so thank you. Thank you once again on behalf of ProVentures team. Thank you, Ratnam, for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity.
There is one more customer to whom it is under pilot. He also has joined. His name is Mukilan from Nirma. They're young people doing a great job. So thank you, Mukilan. Thank you, Vani, and everyone who participated. Thank you so much for your presence. It makes a lot of difference to us.
Thank you. It's a wonderful session and a wonderful product. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Vani. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Walid.
Thank you.